Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. It is Tuesday, and it kind of feels like a hangover after MLK Day. Had 11 games there. We had a ton of bets on the show yesterday. 2 episodes, actually, that came out. One with 3 guest cappers on there who all did really well. So I'm making a point in 2024 to make sure that I track how they do when they come on, just all of them combined, right? So let's get right into actually how I did first. We went 4-4 on the day, and then we're going to talk about a brief bit about the guest picks and get right into today's slate. Very interestingly, before I even get into this, Joel Embiid was just ruled not on the injury report for the latest injury report that came out for the 76ers, as I record this at about 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that means that game is going to have a bit more clarity now because we know the starting lineup is in for the Denver Nuggets, and we know most importantly that Joel Embiid is in for the 76ers. So we finally get the most recent MVPs matchup in Jokic versus Embiid, which we've been robbed of the last 2 years, I think even 3 years, that they haven't played against each other when these two teams meet each season, which is a lot of games that they've missed against each other that they could have played. So real quick, I don't have anything for that. I've got 4 other bets here. We'll talk about those in one sec. Let's run through this. Like I said, 4-4, minus 0.2 units. A little bit frustrated with Pascal Siakam. Also frustrated I didn't take Vince Williams and ladder him up because he had great numbers, but that was also so last minute that it was tough to find everything. Either way, Joe Val did not come through. Kyrie, I'm glad we switched that to half a unit because he did not come through. I am done fading him for those of you who called me out on it. I'll just take a break from fading Kyrie without Luka in there, no matter what his props are. That's something I can do. 4-4, minus 0.2. Let's look at the guest cappers in one sec. I should say 19.6 on the season. Not much changed. Like I said, a 500 record, only lost 0.2 units. So everything pretty much as what you saw on the day before here when we had this video up. Guest cappers. Oaks came on here and gave a same game parlay with Vooch to go over 9.5 boards and under 20.5 points. And that hit. And he had 9 boards, I believe. No, 10 boards rather, because he got the over on the rebounds. And if his core line was 10.5. So glad that we dumbed that one down. But nice same game parlay to get us plus 148 on the money there. So that one hit for Oaks. Josh Green ended up going over, and Wemby went over. Those were Brad's bets, which were hilarious because both of them sucked in the first half, and then they both came alive in the second half to cash for our boy and for us here. And then Simone Fontecchio had 8 points before they took him out. It was a good look by TP, my buddy Tim, who is definitely making a good amount of money each year now on betting as well, now that it's legal and he's not in Vegas where he used to gamble most of his money. So yeah, he did one bet that we lost there, but 3-1 plus 2.4 units. We will take it, man. Really solid day with that plus money bet as well from Oaks, which we are appreciative of. So now we're going to keep that record for them forward, but let's get right into this today's bets here for the day, which is Tuesday. And I should also remind you to subscribe to that page. Go ahead and jump in the comments. I want to make this a little bit more of a community feel, and I'll start doing some live streams, and I'll start switching up some graphics to get you guys a bit more involved. Maybe get some community bets, that kind of thing, and see if we can't hit those and then start giving that kind of stuff out. Just wanted to establish the show here. We are at episode 100 or so for the NBA show specifically. So really happy to have all these under our belt, but let's keep it going. All right, Chet, team total. For those of you who have been watching, you know that I'm not supposed to be betting anything but player props right now. There's 3 games on this slate. I just am now going to start getting legit props for the Denver Nuggets and Sixers game. So really, there's been 2 games for me to work with, which is this one and then the Suns and the Kings. Now, the OKC is playing the Clippers, and it's just a really good spot. We hit our last OKC team total. It was actually at 124.5 because they were playing the Blazers. And now they're getting a team in the Clippers who haven't been that good on defense over their last 10 games. They are in the bottom 10 in terms of defensive rating. They've been giving up this total a decent amount over those last 10 games. And really they're going over on what their totals are in their games. For the Thunder here, they're going to be on the road, and they've gone over in 15 of 20 away games this season. The ones that they haven't were Minnesota twice, best defensive team in the league at home by by a good margin. Houston, who was that as well when they played the Thunder, they've been giving up a bit more points at home, but they were the second best defense at home for the first, let's say, quarter of the season. And now they've been dwindling a bit, but that's when OKC got them, went under there. Phoenix, another really top 10 defensive team at home. So there's some pretty good explanation for why that's the case here. The Clippers have been a good defensive team as well, and they usually are at home, just hasn't been the case as of late. So I'm going to believe in the lack of defense that they've been showing, especially with Zoo out. Zubac isn't playing in this game. He is in the top 3 in defensive field goal percentage down low. So he's a big reason why teams aren't getting to the rim as easily as they might have in the past against this team. And the Thunder coming in, that's what they do, right? They're going for points in the paint, top 5 there. They're taking most of their shots inside of 15 feet with the mid-range, short mid-range from Shai. Plus you've got, Chet that is going to the basket a lot, as is Jalen Williams. Lou Dort actually drives anyone on their team. It's going to be a problem if they don't have a rim protector, and they don't without Zubac in. Daniel Tice is not going to be it, right? I feel pretty good about Shai getting his points against Daniel Tice coming down low rather than Zubac. So they've gone over in all 5 games where they've been on no rest this season, the Thunder, averaging 132 in that time, right? In all 5 of those games, some pretty deep, good defensive teams in there as well. It's not all just cupcakes. So there's good reason to believe they're going to keep getting 115 points, and that the Clippers are going to keep playing somewhat underwhelmingly on defense as they have as of late. Feel free to not bet this or fade it. It's not a player prop, and I understand that. So you're well within your rights to ignore me on that one. Let me get to my second one here, which is Yusuf Nerkic. We're going to go over 12.5 points for him, and simply put, we're just following the minutes. But I want to interrupt myself to say half a unit. All of these are getting half a unit. We put a lot of money down yesterday. We only lost, $20 there if you're playing $100 units, even less if you're playing $50 units, right? $10, whatever. So we only lost the 0.2 units. But we do. I got more games coming tomorrow. There's going to be a much better slate throughout the rest of this week with a lot of games on the rest of the week on not tonight. So I don't really want to mess with tonight. I think we got big Wednesday, Friday slates in the NBA. So I'm only putting down a total of 2 units tonight, half a unit on every single bet that I put out here. 12.5 points for Nurk, or 13, I should say, for him to get that. Pretty good, close to even money bet here at minus 104. We're just following the minutes versus Domas. This is really, there's not much precedence other than the last game that he played, because prior to this matchup, he was on the Blazers when they played the Kings. And that's not something I'm really putting as much stock into. That was a much different look. The look I'm looking for tonight is Nurk is involved on offense when this team has their big 3 in, a lot more actually. And he's not relied upon to do anything except for finish, open layups, and dunks. Maybe get a few offensive rebounds and putbacks, right? That's his offensive game. And they will give it to him in the post and say, you can go to work if you want against Domantas Sabonis and get him into foul trouble. That's certainly going to be a part of this, because he took 13 shots last game against Domas. He had 15 points, somewhat efficient, not great for a big man to go 6 for 13 from the field, but we'll take it because he got the free throws in there as well. And the 13 field goals is the volume that we want when we have a 13-point prop, right? That's inefficient to go 13 points on 13 field goals. I'm not saying he'll for sure get the 13 field goals in this one, but he does shoot more when the big 3 are together. Interestingly, in the 12 games that he's played with all of them, we're talking about he's averaging, what am I at here? Sorry. He's averaging in those games more than 10 field goal attempts a game, right? And then in the games that he's playing where one of them is missing, he's in the 16 games there, less than 10 field goal attempts, around 9 field goal attempts per game in those ones, right? So there is enough of a sample size, almost like the 12 games that he's played now. It's a decent enough sample size to go, okay, this is what we can expect. Not as many assists for him, but a few more rebounds and field goal attempts. So with that in mind, we're just going to take that as, like I said, a half a unit bet because it's a low line. I don't expect that many points in this game, at least not 244 total, but there's enough to go around for Nurk to get 13. Cool. All right. In that game, I am taking an under in that one. Under 244, minus 112, 0.5 units on that. Once again, this is not, I'm sort of relapsing here, if you will, because I'm not supposed to be betting sides and totals right now. But once again, I've had 2 games to deal with this morning. I didn't love the props that I have, which were only out for the superstars for the most part. So I'm going with another total, but I'm going under 244 for Sac and Phoenix. They've gone under in their last 2 meetings this season. One of them was a back-to-back for the Kangs, which were in that situation again. And these games are averaging 222.5 with a 98 pace. One was a 220 total. One was a 225 total. And all the numbers indicate Sac goes under in this situation. They go under on back-to-backs where they're averaging 111 points per game. They're giving up 120. Still gets us well below the number here at 244. They also score less and play better defense on the road, and they're probably correlated, right? They're not playing as fast, slightly slower on the road, but more so they're just clamping down a bit more, and their offense isn't there. And that's what the correlation is that their offense is just not fluid and there for them nearly as much as it is at home. In part because when the threes drop, the crowd gets pretty loud. It is a very good crowd at Golden One Center in Sacramento, where I've been a number of times. I will say that. But more importantly, as importantly, it's not there for them on the road, right? And so that's why the defensive rating drops and is much better there, and they score fewer points. The 115 that they score on the road versus 121 that they score at home. So we're taking an under in this game, where the Suns also are playing pretty good defense at home, as I mentioned earlier. So finishing it up here, Devin Booker under 7.5 assists, half a unit. Just gets fewer assists and rebounds when Beal is in there. There's more of him just sort of standing at the top and not quite going all over the floor the way he spreads his game out when it's just him or him with one other guy. He's got two other guys now that need to have spacing on the wing and down low. So his job is to stand a lot more at the top of the key and facilitate from up there. Thing is, with the assists, that leads to secondary assists. So he's got more secondary assists in the last 4 games where he's played with Bradley Beal than he does normally, because he's making the pass that then gets made to the pass that is the assist, right? So that's why his secondary assists have been rising, because they are forcing the ball out of his hands a bit more. Not that they're double teaming him by any means, but he is there to facilitate rather than run off of pick and rolls and then make something happen from there, where it's his option now to shoot or to pass, right? There's a little bit less of that for him. So the potential assists, they dwindle just a smidge, not too much, but they go down a little bit. And that is enough for us to feel good about him going under this number, which he's done in 8 of the 12 games that he's played with Brad Beal. Brad Beal is someone that comes in and takes a few of these stats from him in terms of the assists and the rebounds. And like I said, a big part of that is the secondary assists now, where there is better ball movement with these guys because they can get the defense on their toes with more shooters on the floor, more guys who are dangerous, such as Brad Beal. It actually has led to fewer assists for Devin Booker overall. And in the last 7 games, Sac has been limiting point guards to the 4th fewest assists overall, right? And that's just specifically to the point guard position, which is what we are going to be seeing from Devin Booker here in terms of where he's playing and his player profile. It's going to be on the floor in that top of the key range, where, like I said, that's where Sac is limiting assists specifically from that sort of player profile over the last 7 games, with the need for a bit better defense, as their offense hasn't quite been there as well. They haven't been that impressive yet. They still have the 10th best record in the league for the Kangs. So we'll see how that goes in this one here, right? All right, let's run through how these bets went. OKC team total, we're going over 114.5, half a unit on all these bets. Yusuf Nerkic over 12.5 points. Sac and Phoenix to go under 244. Sorry, that says 243.5, but same comp. We get the push if it's 244. That did go up a smidge. And then Devin Booker under 7.5 assists, minus 120, and we're also taking a half a unit on that for him to go under 8 dimes. All right. Appreciate everybody following along. That's all the time I have for you guys now. Let's keep it going with a bigger video and more bets, probably 5 of them, if I had to guess, at least tomorrow for Wednesday, which I'm going to get out tonight. So until I see you next, happy betting.